Hey, this is Chelsea. This is just a little bonus episode we ended up doing because we were chatting away after the live, and it ended up turning into a whole new episode. Oh, and sorry about the audio issues.
Here, I saw this and I had to get it for you because you're the donut thing and blah blah blah.
Gosh, okay.
So I'll have to use that for
Yeah.
my little journal.
Yeah, just to kind of see what comes up. All these like flashes and all the things that are there to look at. And sometimes it's the way we hear it. So for instance, songs will come up for at least when I've noticed with certain people when songs come up, it brings them back to a time when something happened at that time. So if that song you listen to at a certain, if you can go back and kind of
That makes
remember
sense.
when that time frame was, you were listening to that song, something happened at that time. And here you're finally ready to kind of just go look at it and go, oh, that's what that was. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, look how I've shifted from that. Done.
And be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Or look at that and then release it. So songs are really intriguing because when they come up, I'll say that's how they come up, and then I'll mention it and they'll say, oh yeah, that song I listened to when all this was happening in my life.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe just kind of figuring out when that song showed up, or like to go back and like.
I'll have
that
to.
time frame.
And I can't
That's
remember.
a Mercury retrograde. All the reviews.
Yeah,
opened
revisiting
this.
everything. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I'll have to. I can't remember the bad name off the top of my head, but when I find out the bad name, I'll know.
Yes. Oh yeah, you can Shazam that or Google. If you go on Google and just give it the lyrics, it will tell you. But well, that's funny. Remember the other visual I gave you? So if I spend a different type of it's the way Taco probably gets stuff, but she gets it differently. She gets more like a movie screen.
Yes.
Going, right?
Yep.
Which is incredibly amazing.
I know.
If only. My gosh, your whole life you could just see it. Okay, there it is. You know?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my gosh. So did you remember? I was like, oh, it's like I don't like at the beginning of a session. If I just shut my brain down, visuals will come in or whatever. And for you, like you had your spirit guides right there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, and then a visual popped up, and it was like you being at a movie premiere. But you didn't know it was you on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Like she was like, oh, I'm just showing up for this premiere. But then realizing it was like hers, but she didn't. But like you didn't want it. It was like, oh, don't flash me. It's like you're waiting for someone else. But all these people are reaching their hands out to be like, oh, I just want to meet you and like shake your hand and like, and you're like, oh, okay. Wait a minute. And it was just like you're at the beginning of where your path of this, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Not crazy.
And I was like, oh, she doesn't know yet. It's just intriguing. It's not mine. It's for someone else. Like, no, it's yours. It's just starting. It's just starting.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
See, when I get pictures, and I'm in the learning stages too. Of, what does this picture that they're showing me mean? Or they'll flash me words, or I hear in my head,
Yes.
saying that's kind of how they come through to me. So, it's.
Chelsea's like, do you have that?
She does tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does
Yeah.
tarot. And
That's why I was so traumatized when I came into this realm. Too sensitive, I guess.
Yeah. Right, picking up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she does. She does stuff too, and more now too. And I think because we've been working together on this stuff, so maybe is it because you're recognizing it more or understanding
I
it?
think just I exercise it every day.
Yeah.
Ever since everything, and then when I guess you would say my stuff was awakened or whatever. It's just practice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then being aware too, like the other piece is, like I wish sometimes I couldn't pick up at like all the things. So I'll try to like just try to like I can get to a place where I'm so not picking it up, where people are like, I called your name, did you hear me? And I'm like, nope, and thank goodness. Like, I just want to not like pick up everything all the time.
Like it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, so it's like to the point where you're like,
turning it off.
Yeah, and figuring out ways to do that. And I've been reading stuff lately about like don't always put the protection bubbles around you.
Really?
How come?
It actually shields you so much over time that you start to you want to get stronger in your sense of who you are,
Yes.
not stay in the like lower vibration of who you are, there's a couple things that happen, because what happens is when you get around people who are at a different vibration or a different frequency, or however you want to call it, or something where you would consider, oh, that's like fearful, I don't want to be near you. The problem is then you can't sort of navigate that, because when you put a protection bubble all the time, you're just protecting like where you're at, and the thing you need to do is strengthen who you are and strengthen your aura like around you, so it doesn't have the ability to kind of keep coming in.
Right.
And that's like a whole different thing. And I felt like in doing all the energy work, the first 2 years was really hard, because I would just wear everything that like everyone, like I would be like, oh thanks, I have it now, and I would be like laid out for a day or two.
Like
Yeah.
when you were young.
I didn't know how to, or like, and then I would just didn't know how to, I would be like, oh, there's that neck pain, I guess I'll take that with me.
Oh,
It's yours. And you'd be like, I feel great. I'd be like, I know, excellent. But now I have a way to like maneuver that, and like there's certain things I'll say, like I have a very specific like script that I do in my head. So when I start with you at the feet, I don't touch you first. I'm just holding my space, and I'm like, all right, I'm in my space, and it looks like a donut, and my donut looks like this. You know, it's not a permeable membrane, it's not a cloud, it's like a full rich color, and I'm wanting like to put coral there, like, or, and I'm not putting up mirrors or shields. I'm now asking your aura to gently come and overplace a little bit, like a frosting.
Okay.
So that when you're there, now I can just pick up what's going on. But when you leave, you're gonna take your aura with you.
I'm taking
and
my
your
frosting.
frosting with you, and then you get to release whatever you need to. But I'm not the owner of it. It's not mine, and so I can let you take that with you, and I'm not taking it with me. And so I've gotten to a better place of scripting it, so that when I leave, and then there's also a space of like, I'm not doing your energy work, like Source is going to do it and you're doing it, right? So I'm just here to amplify it for you.
Yeah.
So that you get what you need, and that way it doesn't deplete me, because I think a lot of us really hard with people who are like Chelsea, like you, who are like, I feel everything. You also have the capacity to give everything, and you feel depleted to the point you're like, I gotta go to bed for like the next day and a half. Like I don't want to be around people anymore. And when you realize the source is it's an abundance, and if you can actually step into what the abundance is and get out of what yours is, you won't run out. You won't run out. It's unbelievable. And so there's a technique in one of the classes I was learning, and she says, and Taco's really good at this, and I don't know if she knows she does it, but they were saying that when you're empathic, right, and you're getting all this stuff, as soon as you make eye contact with somebody, you've made an empathic connection.
Okay.
And so what happens is now you've kind of dialed down into the vibration, and you're picking everything up, and your body feels the way their body feels. You feel heavy the way they feel heavy. You feel their depression the way you feel theirs, but you don't really know it yet.
Okay.
So when you make that empathic connection, you can't, it's hard to get out of it. It's like maneuvering through mud to get out of it. And so instead, they say when you're in sessions or readings, don't make eye contact. You tell them up ahead, like, I'm not going to make eye contact. You see Taco looks off.
Yeah, she does that too.
Yes, right. So everyone's got their own place where they're looking. What's happening is you're actually kind of stepping into a channel, and the channel has an abundance of source to give. The channel is the source, so it's abundant. So at the end, you don't feel depleted. As soon as you make eye contact, you're stepping in. You're making that connection on a physical level, and now you're kind of stuck in it. And then it's that much harder to get back every time. When you have to work through mud, if you have to do it a few times in a session, by the end of the session you feel exhausted. And you have to go to bed, and you're like, that was a lot. I can't be around that person. I was like, I can't be around anybody.
Okay.
Whereas you have to learn, you learn ways to kind of step outside of it or into the channel. So sometimes when I'm doing that stuff, I'm like, there's a channel, I'm not in it. That's what's coming in for you. We're putting you in it. Yeah. And then I'm just kind of helping if you can help me, but then when you go, you take it with you. Yeah. So I don't take it with me. So there's all these like techniques. So I've been doing an online course through somebody, and she's incredible, and she teaches you all these techniques. Because for years I was like, I don't think I can do this if this is how I'm going to end up. And a lot of spiritual people, like, I love watching Tyler Henry.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I like watch him, like, yes, oh my gosh. And he talks about all this, and he's like, after a room of like whatever he does, he's like, he's in bed for 4 days.
Yeah, or you'll see him just sweating. And
Yes.
Yep.
So it's really interesting because there's this whole class she talks about it, like the trans medium or like the mediumship, the channeling, the psychic information, the empathic connection. She goes, most people when they start their spiritual journey will be on the empathic connection because everyone knows how to like feel, how to emotionally, physically, and so those doors are really open right away. So it's kind of really interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then when you start opening the other sort of channels, like Taco was able to like go through that and have her other channel opened up for her, and so she doesn't have to spend that time in there. So it's interesting. So the eye is always a giveaway. Like when you tell people, like, probably if I do your session, I won't look at you, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because the way the information is going to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always usually
stare
stare
at the
up
floor?
down
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
so
In public, I get so overstimulated.
Yeah, because all of it's coming in. Yeah.
And then I start having panic attacks.
Yes, because the best way I can describe it is you're like the psychic antenna. Your antenna is wide open to receive, and everything is coming in. And so it literally is just traveling through, and the first place it's going to hit is your nervous system.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, 100%. And then you don't know how to get out of it, so you're like, I just got to get away from the
Yeah,
people.
just leave.
That's Star too, my other daughter.
Yeah.
She doesn't people either.
Yeah, and I didn't for a while either. I would have to I'd go into places and be like, I have to leave, I have to get out of here. And I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And then I figured it out, but yeah. So yeah.
That's so great that you did though.
Yeah.
Figured it out and how to
I
maneuver,
didn't know. Yeah, it was hard. I didn't know, and so you get very fearful of information coming in because if that's how you physically feel, you don't want to feel any worse.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't want it. I don't know. It's coming anyway. What's happening? You know? And then you're just like, can I get rid of it?
Yeah.
But yeah. So for I think the first few years, I was like, I don't trust it. I'm scared of it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
And then after, I was like, okay. I had it, but yeah, there's stuff out there. It's hard to find information on it because everyone wants you to put bubbles and protections around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happens is you begin to lose your ability to or want to connect with people because you're training your system that if this is what it's like to be around 100 people or 10 people, I'm worried about how I might feel with the one person. That if they bring something energetically, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So bubbles they're good in the beginning. They help you a ton, but over time it makes you in a bubble, and then you don't want to be, and so it can actually be over time a detriment as opposed to like helping you being able to survive. And we're in like Taco talks about it. We're doing something right now, and so it's like ever more heightened that like people who are needing help or their stuff is coming up, it's so much more heightened, and so people want to like do the protections more. And if that's what gets you to like where you got to be, do it. But over time, they're saying that all the reading I've been doing has been making a lot of sense, which is like over time, you don't want to keep creating a bubble or a shield. You'll lose your ability to relate to people, how to have relationships with people, and over time that will be detrimental. Like, So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I use a lot of crystals.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. To clear.
Yeah. Like I'll wear one every day.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah. Which is good. Like all the tools are great.
Yeah.
And during this time, you're gonna need all of what your tools are. You know, like, wear more if you got to.
Right.
I'm like, wear more.
We should do a video about that, a spoof. Like, I'll put all of my bracelets on, my necklaces.
I'm prepared tonight to go out to the outside world.
Put all the crystals in the bag.
Oh my gosh, it's like, like a little April Fool's spoof, you know?
Put them in your bra.
We had to do that. We're gonna do that.
Oh my god, that would be excellent.
That would be funny, right?
Just have a Zoom call with all your spiritual people. They show up on Zoom and live conference that.
And everyone's got their stuff.
Someone's got like their, would they do the oh my gosh, the diffuser with the aromatherapy?
Yeah.
She's in there somewhere.
She's just a frog. And all the sage sticks.
All the stage just go by. Oh, that would be so fantastic. Count me. I would love to watch it.
That
part
would
of it.
be so
April Fool's.
That would be a good one. Yeah.
Someone's wearing like everything. Yeah,
Right?
that would be excellent.
Oh
Just
my
be
gosh.
funny. That would be great. And then like be funny, but
And
then
have
real.
salt lamps every
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
and all the frames.
So
Or,
someone just shows up and there's 8. I'm ionized. We're good. I'm ionized.
that would be awesome. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That would be great. I love that idea. I love that.
That would be so funny.
Great. That would be a good one.
That would be, and then you could like, oh my gosh, you could just TikTok that through the year.
Yeah.
Start with that, and then like attach what the like real piece would be. You know?
Yeah, and people they'll love that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's goofy and silly, but we're still trying to make a point.
Yeah,
Exactly. Across.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, that would be amazing.
That's so much fun. We have to do that.
Yes.
That's a good one.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be. Oh my gosh, I'm like, it's endless.
Right?
Just here's all your totems, but you
Yeah.
just bring, someone can bring all their like, what else? Oh, like chakras.
Yes.
Yes.
Somehow, like the twister board in the background. And hang the twister.
Yes.
I brought my chakra chart today.
Yes.
It's just
awesome.
the twister panel, right?
Yes.
Like red, yellow. Have it hanging. Yep, I brought my
Here's
chakra
my
chart today.
protection.
Yeah.
I'm just in the chakras. Yeah, that would be funny. Or like the
Crazy.
sound therapy, you just show up with someone's got wind chimes.
Yeah.
Just all hanging.
Yeah.
We're doing a room. Got my sound therapy.
I
Music
know.
doll.
Yeah. There's no moles.
Oh my gosh. That would be amazing.
It would be.
But just, oh my god, the sound bowls, all the glass bowls that you've got,
Yeah.
just pulling them out, everything,
Yeah.
just to make it even more so.
Uh-huh.
Your glass, glass is, everything. It's like, we're going to sound that right here. All of
The
it.
wine glasses with
Your
the finger.
vases,
Yeah.
The vases, just have them everywhere. Just a sound bath right here,
That'd
ready
be
to go.
awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Why
Yes.
would it take your whole day? This has
Oh,
been so much
that's
fun.
great. Yes, I
Oh
love
my gosh.
it.
Lovely to, just lovely to cross paths.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
And
great.
How long ago did you visit her to do the
Sunday.
whole? Oh wow.
just really recently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Sunday.
Which was
Deanna
good. You
and
had
I-
a couple days with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To experience.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Because I was so funny. You're like,
Yeah.
I looked at you and I was like, would you like to experience so you know?
Yes.
Mhm.
Then I know what I'm
Yeah.
speaking about.
Right. Because
Yeah.
it sounds so medical, like
Mhm.
craniosacral therapy, but it really doesn't. It can be, but there's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
variations of it. Like my friend today, she texted me. She was like, "Do you know about this gal?" I was like, "Yeah, she's amazing with this." And then like I have another gal that I know in Salt Lake. So if you guys need people in the meantime, I can give you like who to go to for what.
Yeah.
And so it just depends what you're looking for, and like, what
Mhm.
you want.
Mhm.
But yeah.
I just want to feel that fabulous.
Yeah.
again.
I know. We'll just do that next time. And sometimes, like, again, because I think if you're already a spirit worker,
Uh-huh.
you can get there
Yeah.
faster. Like, a lot of people don't always experience what you experience.
Right.
Mm.
Like,
Right.
felt it differently
Yes.
in her body. And so I think it's like, if you're kind of a spirit worker, you'll get to that a lot quicker. Because you're
Yeah.
kind of already connected, like I said, you know,
Mhm.
you have those connections kind of already there. And not that it's not there. She's just on a
Right.
different part of her path and journey.
Yeah.
So
For
it's
sure.
like where she is. So for her, it felt like it's the closest experience I'll have to like giving myself a vacation,
Yeah.
you know. And I talked with her. I said, you don't really give yourself any. So, okay.
She doesn't.
Yeah, I would. So what? Yeah,
I told her again
Yeah.
this morning.
yeah, I know. I was like, interesting that it says Papa Bear over there, but I looked at her and like Mama Bear
Uh-huh.
during her session, and I was like, she's
Yeah.
such a like grounded human being. She's like salt of the earth. Like the people who are like,
She probably holds a lot in.
yes, yeah. And so we talked about that too. Is like she's like the corraller, of the family, gets everyone to do their parts. But she's like the last person to give to herself.
Yep.
So it was amazing that you told her, because she reached out and then I responded, but she didn't respond back, and I could tell she was probably like, I don't have time, I'll try to get it in, but I don't know when, or like, or just I don't even know what it is. But the fact that you were her like,
I was.
Come with me.
She needed.
Yeah.
I text her.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, are you wanting to do this still? And she's like, yes. I'm like, hey, I'll just take care of it.
Totally. That's exactly what she needed. And then it was like someone did it for her the way she does it for everyone else in her family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then at the end of it, she was like, I was like, yeah, this is like good for you, and don't be afraid to give this to yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you're always lost on our list, right?
Yeah. Why is it so much easier to show up for everybody else than
Because
yourself?
there's a place of like, you're so, they say that so everyone's got all those, like I think of the AM radio, the FM AM radio, we all have those stations.
Yeah.
When you're with somebody and you connect, you've been on that frequency quite a lot, so you're able to connect. You've been on it so much on some level, you know how to give it. So it's easy to give. And to receive is kind of hard, because sometimes you're afraid of like, well, I don't know, is something going to open up that I really didn't want to open up today? Or like, does that mean I might have to deal with something that's coming out and I don't? It's a little bit harder when it's like you.
Yeah.
Unless you already do that kind of work, that you're so open to it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
See, I put myself first. I mean,
that is why that you're also, I wanted to say that, I was like, you were really open for your session. There's people who are a little bit closed.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, we're just going to go get to here today. You were really open.
Yeah.
And you were able to get there so much in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it, is being as open as you are, and trusting, and having the belief that like, it's what I need, and giving to yourself. And that's that, like what Taco says, healthy selfish.
Yeah.
You already crossed it to realize it's not being like the bad kind of selfish.
Right.
You're doing the good thing.
Yeah.
So it's just crossing over to realize like, oh, it's good. It's also good to give to myself and feeling okay about it. Yeah. We're the last to give to ourselves. We're like, if it's like spending money or whatever, or the time, or like, it's easier to give to someone else than to like, put ourselves first. Right?
Yeah. And I do enjoy
Yeah.
like buying my kids things or I do that too, but I feel like if I'm just gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah. It's getting back to like when you were a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go do that until someone tells me I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like access.
I'll be back. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to Dan's and this is what we're doing. He's like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So getting that access back. Yeah. Yeah. You'll get there.
Takes practice, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just finding the one thing at first that feels good for you. Good in, like, I think the unknown and has to be outweighed by something else, right?
Yeah.
So like when I was depressed, I was like, I'll take anything to get out of this depression.
Yes.
That was my outweigher. I was like, I will do this to try it. And then when I realized, I was like, oh, this is my ticket out. Like okay. So it's like, for me, it took me into getting so inward in that place to like, that I needed something. Some people, like, I need to get desperate a little bit. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to wait till I get desperate. Now I know how good this feels. I'm gonna keep coming back to it. So yeah, it's kind of a weird place if you don't know what stuff is too, right? Like a lot of people are like, I don't know what that is, so I'm not sure.
Or they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wish like we could just take the whole world and line them up in a big line.
Oh yes.
And start shooting them through.
Exactly.
Come back in a month.
Yes.
Next.
Your turn next. Okay. Next. You go. Yes.
I just feel like if so many people would be more open to things and whatever that is, it would just make such a difference.
Yes.
With health and
everything.
Yeah. all of it.
All of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Happiness,
Yes.
love,
Yeah.
the health, all the
I
stuff.
know. And life has just gotten harder.
Yeah.
It really has. There's like this equation out there that's like it's going at such a fast rate. It's and someone said we're getting into. I have a friend who has like a spiritual guide, a swami, and he was saying how we're getting into like the best of times and the worst of times simultaneously, but it's happening so exponentially fast that we can't keep up.
Yeah.
So as humans, we're kind of like, oh my gosh, wait, what? It's like happening so fast.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, and we're not like, as Taka would say, we're not like vibrating enough to it yet. Like your recalibration has to happen at a pace faster than what humans are like, what we've been used to.
Yeah.
And in our time, like I didn't have internet, right? Like
no.
we had payphones. No one knows what those are.
Right?
It's like, oh, I dated us with the Brady Bunch thing. Sorry,
Yeah.
but like, it's like none of that.
No.
We didn't have cell phones.
No.
We were. It was just a different world. It went at a slower pace. You do it like 5 o'clock. You didn't have to turn in any papers or anything. There was no way anyone could get a hold of you.
Right.
It wasn't
right.
a landline, right? Like. So we were able to be at that pace. In fact, we probably found ourselves bored a lot because we were a little bit ahead, but then realizing now we've making this like very slingshot turn where all of a sudden it's going so much faster than what we can keep up with. And then the humans that we're like, are you aliens? Like, you must be. I don't know. But all of us are feeling the effects of it.
Yeah.
So it is happening super
Well, and
fast.
time seems like it just goes by too.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
bam, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of it. I know.
Yeah, I really struggle living in a fast-paced world because, like, my natural energy isn't like that.
Right. Yes.
So,
Right. And you
Yeah.
probably would be like wanting ways for the world to slow down or like feel grounded. So for you, spiritual practices that kept you in that, like not slower but grounded you more, so you would feel so lifted out of your body.
yeah.
Because panic and anxiety almost feels like out of your body, but
Mm-hmm.
it's coming in so fast in such a like that high frequency
Yeah.
when your body's like, I kind of can't, like, your threshold is so low and being able to like
Yep.
handle that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
like practices for you might be like more grounded stuff,
Yeah.
which it's kind of hard to get in our day and age, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
and finding the ways to do that. So
Yeah.
like grounding bed sheets. Do you know what those are?
Mm-mm.
I
You might
have
want to
one.
look into that.
I'll let you borrow mine.
I didn't.
by
I
the
don't
way,
even know
in
what
the
that is.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna feel a little terrible in the beginning. Like when I got mine,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is great, and like turned it on, and then that night I was like, I feel so sick. I was like nauseous.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I was nauseous, and then I like turned it off in the middle of the night, and the next night I like was like, or you unplug it from the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, the next night I didn't feel good either, and I felt like kind of crawling out of my skin, and I had to undo it again.
Really?
Yeah, it took me like, I think about 2 to 3 weeks before I could sleep with the whole night with it, and now I'm like, life changing. I get such good sleep, and I have
Wow.
less body aches in the morning.
Yep.
And it feels
Oh.
like just like I went back 10 years and got really good sleep now, but like where I was. But they say that if you start too fast, your body's almost detoxing a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like too much grounding at first that your body hasn't calibrated, so they want you to introduce it. So the best way to do it is like while you're awake, lay in your bed for like an hour at a time. But then when you go to, like before you go to bed, like unplug it from the wall, like just try to get an hour or two
Oh,
a
okay.
day. And then for you, building up to like 3 or 4 hour increments, so like watching a movie and then like having yourself like grounded.
Yeah.
But then like in a few weeks after that, then you could probably get through. I couldn't get through the whole night like
Really?
for a while. Yeah. And
I
then-
just
now,
plugged
I
mine
know.
in.
My friend said that too. She's like, what? She's like, I just went in. She goes, I'm so grounded. I must wake up like hungover. I'm still sleeping. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't me.
That's
That-
funny.
yeah.
Remind me and
So-
I'll go down and get it.
I'll have to have do it, practice
Yeah.
with it too.
Yes. Yeah. So just start really slow in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a really slow.
Okay.
Uses one too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's there's certain ones out there. So I just like went on Amazon and read all the reviews. And then they say after so many washings or so many years you want to replace it because the silver threads are yeah.
I've only washed mine once.
Yeah, so you're good.
And it's all clean and good to go,
Yeah.
so I'll let you take it.
Yeah.
You don't want?
So
How
you
come you
can
don't?
try
You
it.
just don't want to use it?
I don't feel like I need it.
Oh, okay.
I tried
Yeah.
it and yeah.
Yeah.
I made Chris,
Some
my husband, sleep on it, and I'm like, "Do you feel better yet?"
Yeah. Yeah. Some people.
He's like, "I don't know."
Yeah. So it took me weeks to get there.
Yeah.
At first I was like, I don't like this thing. And then after a while I realized it was like, oh, just slow little hours at a time.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I used it for probably 3 months.
Hmm.
We had it on the bed for 3 or 4 months. Mine.
And I woke up with more energy like after
Yeah.
a month. It was like I didn't struggle to get out of bed.
Oh, okay.
Where I would like, let me snooze. Oh god, let me snooze again.
Yes.
Snooze one more time.
That's me.
And it was all of a sudden like my alarm would go off and I would be like, I want to just snooze. And I would like try to, and then I was like, oh, I'm actually awake. Like I would wait till my next snooze, but I was
Yeah.
awake. And then when
Yeah.
I got up, I was like kind of ready to go. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm like ready to go.
I feel so good.
When I was a kid, I used to be able to do that,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, mm-mm.
Yeah. The bed sheets will help a little bit, but you will feel sick in the beginning. Just it's like a detoxing effect.
To like do it on the weekend when I don't have anything going on.
Yeah, just a little bit at a time. Don't
Yeah.
do it all night. Just do like every day, like an
Okay.
hour. You'll know within like you'll be sitting in bed and you're like, no, I don't feel right. So just plug it out.
Oh,
Take it
okay.
out. Just start with like an hour every day. I feel
You
like the
plug
first
it
week.
into the
Yeah.
prong thing in the plug.
Mm.
Yeah.
So why does it make you feel sick though?
Because you're I guess the easiest way to put it is you're probably not ionized or you're more like acidic as opposed to alkaline.
Oh,
And you're not
okay.
ionized correctly. That's why people, when they go to the beach, they love sticking like their feet in the sand.
Oh yeah.
They get salty air. It's all like a re-ionizing. That's why the salt crystals. But I think those work
Okay.
only like if you're literally hugging the land. You're like,
Yeah.
put this in bed. It's like that. So I think it's one of those. But I think that there's something going on where like you're like if you go to a like the the infrared saunas or
Yes.
hot saunas.
Oh, okay.
And you know how like when you go in there, people are like in 10 minutes, like you'll see it. People are like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Like out.
Yeah.
Kind of
Because-
similar.
Yeah, there's different
Okay.
ways to get your body. So when you sweat, you're changing your body from acidic to alkaline.
Oh.
And so it's really good actually to like to detoxify your body. And so the grounding sheets are doing it in a different way, which is why you kind of feel a little sick.
Okay.
But if you don't have access to like infrared sauna or a sauna, you'll kind of, and then just stay like, sometimes when you're detoxing, you have to stay like super hydrated.
Mhm.
And so if I'm feeling that way, I also know I'm dehydrated.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, it's almost like you want to make sure you're hydrating just with water,
Okay.
and then maybe like sometimes a little bit of electrolytes for
Okay.
water, and then you won't feel as sick either.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. There's all different ways to get there. I think they're all different ways to get there. It's just whichever way you want to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't wait now.
Do it all at once.
See what
Yeah. But I think that's why like the cold and hot therapies work for people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about all this stuff?
Yeah.
the ice bath. Yeah, so the ice
Yeah.
bath deals.
Yeah.
It's an interesting piece because it's like it deals with stuff on this side, like
Mhm.
after you experience anxiety and how do you deal with that,
Mm-hmm.
and it can help. It helps your body maneuver on a physical level, so that when your body physically is feeling stress or anxiety, you're not as reactive.
Okay.
Oh.
So I think the ice baths help with that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and then the hot is more like actually, it's shifting you on, like I said, the acidic to alkaline, so that you're able to sweat and detox in a
Okay.
way. And I feel like those, when you're doing that physically, people are a lot healthier. So for instance, people who will do like the detox or the sweats or the infrared, all of a sudden if they've never had the like, oh, I want to go exercise, probably within like a month of doing that, they'll be like, I have the energy to like go exercise. I've never kind of had this energy
That's
before.
cool.
Or I feel kind of like your body actually will shift and won't get sick all the time because it's not acidic
Oh,
anymore.
that's really
So,
cool.
Yeah. Like,
So we have a hot tub.
okay.
Does that act similar, or is it not hot enough?
It will work. It's just kind of slower at doing it, and you have to be super hydrated because it's got like a delayed effect.
Mm.
Okay.
So if you do a hot tub, you can do that as well.
Because we sit in our hot tub, we
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah, you can do it. It has. The problem is people don't know they've already been overheated, but until they get out too late. So you have to. The trick is you have to hydrate like the whole time you're in there. You almost have to drink like 32 ounces
Okay.
the whole time you're in there. But if you actually, your heart rate will speed up.
Yeah.
You don't feel it. You're just like, I'm sitting here and I'm relaxed. But your heart rate's actually speeding up like you're running a marathon.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you get out, you're like, why do I kind of have like a residual headache and I feel kind of overexhausted?
Yeah.
Because while you're sitting in the hot tub, your body is running a marathon even though you didn't feel it.
Mm, wow.
Yep. And so
Interesting.
it's good to have that because it will help with like sleep. But you have to be careful because it can like really almost put you in super dehydration mode for like the next day or two. And so you feel good during, but then later you're like,
We
Okay.
always take a
Yeah.
water bottle
Yeah,
in
and
the
just
hot
drink-
tub
yeah,
and
and
drink
drink
it
the
while
whole
we're
thing.
in there.
yeah. So that's exactly
Yeah.
the right thing. So it gets there. It's doing it from the outside in,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
the sweat, like the sweat stuff, is more like trying to get to the inside and having it work out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a difference of how you
Right.
get there and how long it takes. So the
Interesting.
hot tubs work, but they take longer over time, and then this hot sweating gets in there a little quicker, which is why you had that like urge. Like I used to have the urge after like 8 minutes. I gotta get out. I can't be in here. I have to get out. Like and then I realized it was like, oh, once my body starts shifting when you're doing this more, it doesn't need to do that.
Okay.
Mm.
Like, so here's a funny story. I have my old car here.
Yes.
I have a brand new car, but it's in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving Salt Lake. One of my trips. So in June.
So
I
you
was
drive here all the time?
Well, this time I flew
Oh,
because
okay.
this car has AC, which is hilarious. It's my old car. My new car doesn't have it anymore.
Oh my gosh.
So while I don't know why. So when I was driving from Salt Lake to California, right an hour before Vegas, my AC went out.
Oh,
no.
my gosh.
114 degrees outside. And I was like,
No way.
I was like, wait, what? So I called like Toyota dealership and I was like, can I stop in Vegas and have you look at my car? And they're like, you'll have to be here for a couple days because it's your AC. And I was like, I don't have a couple days. I got to go right back to work. And I was like, I can do this. So I pulled off at a gas station. I'm like, do you have can I buy a 5-pound bag of ice? And they're like, we don't have ice here. I'm like, it's Vegas. It's 114 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, so I loaded up on like coconut water, and I went to like that. They had an ice machine in the parking lot across the street, and
Oh
I
my
bought a
gosh.
10-pound bag of ice,
Mm-hmm.
literally placed it in my lap, and drove the next 7 hours as if it was a sweat lodge. I couldn't
Wow.
have the windows down because it was blowing more hot air. I
Right.
couldn't have the vents open, and I was just profusely sweating. But I had a 10-pound bag of ice, and everyone thinks it's ridiculous. And I was like,
Wow.
I can handle this because I've done this before. Like I've
Yeah.
been able to do all that, and so I just like the whole car ride until I got to the edge of California. It was like 100 degrees, and finally when I got to like 90, I was like, "Wow, this feels kind of cool." I could do this.
To
It
death.
was great, yeah. And then I just felt like the next 2 days, like I was high because I probably was like mild heat stroke apparently, but
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, I feel great!" Like everyone feels like this, you know.
Oh my gosh.
But it was that when your body has to detox, it was like a full blown 7-hour detox.
Wow.
It was beyond, but it was
Wow.
when you're doing that, you're able to get attuned to it, and then
Right.
it doesn't feel so like hard. And that's also a good sign that your body is detoxing, is if you can kind of make it over those like 7-10 minute increments. It means your body is starting to shift. So when I go into any like whatever the hot saunas or whatever,
Yeah.
I'll know right away when people they haven't detoxed
Because they're
like,
out.
they're out now. But it's a good little gentle curve to get into.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, where can you do that? Do they have that around
They
here?
have
You
a
can even
Hot
buy
Works.
one. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
My friend has one she bought online.
Really?
Yes, I can send you a link if you want to do it in like your own home. She literally does
Really?
it at home. It's like it's like you put it around a chair and it like a little heat thing that and she zips it up and it will be it all of a sudden
Like,
starts
so you
producing
sit in the
heat.
bag?
Pretty much. It's like, I feel like it's like I don't know how to describe it. It probably is like a little silver cubicle thing that goes on the chair and you zip it up and it starts to generate heat and you start sweating in it, but like it, you know, obviously your head's out.
Mm-hmm.
But she said it has been like life changing for her. And she just does it at home, so she doesn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
She can do her like, 10 minutes at a time or her hour. And she says it's been life changing for like sleep and just feeling like she's in severe stress mode. She's in school, but she said it's been life changing.
That's cool.
So
What would you call that? A sweat box?
I know, sweat box. We gotta go in my sweat box now. But I'll send you a link to it. I'll send it to you. And then if you want it, look into it. Then we don't have
That's
to leave your
so
home.
interesting.
Because sometimes it's hard enough just to like go somewhere
Yeah.
and then be like,
Getting
I have to-
there.
yeah, and then I have to
Mhm.
shower after and all this stuff. And
I
Takes
just
her whole
do it at
day.
night before I go to bed or in
Yeah.
the morning.
Yeah.
that's
Like
what she was
before.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was life changing. So there's
Wow.
another way to get there.
Interesting. See, there's so many things.
I know.
Yeah.
There's so many things. We just talk about it all day.
I know.
And then
We
you're
should
like-
have been recording.
I am.
Okay.
We were sitting.
I'm recording.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I was just like, here's another episode.
Good, because
You
we
might
have to block out some names. But
Yeah.
I've been recording for 41 minutes.
Awesome.
Part 2 or part 1?
Part.
Well, she can pick it apart
Yeah.
and make clips.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not live, but we've got another episode, so.
Perfect. There you go.
I love it. You got a twofer, Dale.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, excellent. There's part 2 and part 1.
Yep.
That's so awesome. Because I was sitting here thinking we should be recording all this conversation.
I read your minds.
She was ahead of you. So far ahead of you. She's like, don't worry, I was already ahead of you like an hour ago.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
It's just cool, and you guys didn't even know.
Yeah, see, and that's when
Didn't
it's
even
so authentic.
Yeah. Mhm.
I love it. I love it.
That's
There you go.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Welcome
Yeah.
to part 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll
That's
send you a
awesome.
link to that. And
Do.
you can just have it. And
I'm interested.
there's so much stuff out there. It's just what speaks to you.
Yeah.
And again, it's where do you get to the place where you're uncomfortable enough to like, what's the thing that you want to try? But so many things speak to so many people. That's why I feel like you've had a connection with it before.
Uh-huh.
In
Yeah.
like probably another life, which is why you keep going back to it. So like with
Mhm.
you, with crystals, it's like we're in another life. Like were
Yeah.
you was into the earth or geology, or did you have ceremonies connected to the earth? Or were you like the person that, I don't know, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone's got something.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, for instance, when I drive through anywhere in the Four Corners or for, Arizona, Utah,
Yeah.
Colorado, Nevada, and if someone is selling turquoise, I have to buy it. I can't stop myself. It doesn't matter where I go in. I'm like, I need this. Here you go. Here's my money. It doesn't matter. And then I think, I wonder if I was either part of one of these tribes, and this was
Mhm.
just something that
Could be.
was so connected that I feel like I have to give back, and that's like the way
Yeah.
I'm doing it, even though it's just a little bit.
Right.
And it's so I feel like everyone's got connections. As
Yeah.
To why
Yes,
certain
for
things
sure.
show up.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Because see, I'm a huge crystal fan.
Yeah,
too,
she's
and
more
Yeah.
into them than I am.
Funny that you both are because
Yeah.
we all have like
True.
our soul pods or families.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like you're just calling your people back in, right? From like
That's true.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's just there's always stuff as to why like somehow at some point there could have been
The
something that you
connection.
two were doing together with them.
Mhm.
And I think it's kind of like, oh well, we're family. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah. Then and now.
That's what's happening at the same time.
Yep.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always loved crystals. I've always loved
Yeah.
colored glass.
Yes.
Been very attracted to colored glass.
Me too. I love it too.
And then it kind of started transform into this crystal thing, and I'm like, oh, that's why.
Well, colored glass. What was it 100 years ago? It was like churches, right? They like really
Oh, the stained glass.
Oh my gosh.
So pretty.
Maybe
I love
one of
it.
you were like the builders of like,
Maybe.
you know, or you were part and parcel of that, and that was where it was so steeped in, right? For you
Yeah.
guys. And then just having that connection to like that, and then bringing it forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that
I've
would be
loved
interesting.
stained glass since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandpa's, it would have been his uncle. He made it.
Oh, you did.
Oh, so it does run in the family.
Wow, that's not
Well, my dad, I was adopted.
Okay.
That's
So
right.
he's not my biological dad, but he's my dad.
Yeah.
Since I was, you know, 2 years old. But, and I remember going, I think I went, his name was Uncle Chris, and I think I went to his house with Grandpa twice. And I was just, and I was young,
Okay.
and I was just super in awe of all the stained glass he had all
Interesting.
over. So that's where it started.
Okay.
Started before that. But
Yeah,
yeah. You were just
That's where I was
connecting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? Do you ever have those moments where something like that happens?
Yes.
And I hear so many like the deja vu moments,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you're actually supposed to be exactly where you're supposed to be.
We were just
On this.
explaining that to my brother. Because he's like, I've been getting deja vu.
Oh gosh, it's like
Yeah.
basically. So we were talking about this the other day too. My friend and I were like,
Mhm.
you almost think that by making a different choice, sometimes you're going off completely on a different path. That you're like, oh,
Right.
if I leave this choice behind,
Mhm.
is it gone forever? And then I'm going over here. It's almost like your universe is, or your path is collapsing on itself again.
Yeah.
So when you get
Mhm.
those deja vu moments, it's like you're actually
It's a validation.
reconnecting. Yep,
Mhm.
you're supposed
Yeah.
to be exactly where you're supposed to be. You're actually on that part of your path that if you detoured, you're supposed to have reconnected to it.
Yeah.
And then so those are like good pieces of where like it didn't matter where you would have detoured, you were gonna meet back to this part. It was just a timing
Mhm.
issue.
See, and I
Okay.
believe that.
Yeah.
The deja vu.
Yeah.
For sure.
I used to get it a lot more when I started getting more into the spiritual
Okay.
stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
hmm
So that was probably your connector piece, like you're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing this,
hmm
and it was just reconnecting you. Because
Yeah.
I think it back now, I'm like, oh, if I never moved out of Utah, I think I still would have done all the things.
All the stuff.
Yeah, it just would have happened in a little bit of a different way.
Right,
But
right.
it all
Mhm.
would have shown up.
Yeah,
So it's really interesting
sure.
to think like by leaving a place, you're like, oh, I'm on a different trajectory, different path. Like I'm doing something different, and then you realize you're like, oh, well, that really doesn't that different. Yeah, it's right there.
Well, Taco always says it doesn't matter how you do it, you're still going to end up in the
Yeah,
same.
you're gonna get it whether you want it or not. It's coming for you.
Yeah. So that is so true. Yeah, the
Yeah.
deja vu moments. I bet like you were just reconnecting, you know, those
Mhm.
things. And it's like, why do you have a connection to that stained glass? But like me, I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's pretty, but you know,
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
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 And like chandeliers and
Yeah.
I mean I have a tiny one in there and
Yeah.
one in my office, but
Yeah.
I've always just been because my grandmother had one, my dad's mom, and every time I see them like online, it's like I just want all of them. There's nowhere.
See,
else
I
in
look
here.
at it from an artist's perspective.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So she's not as much of an artist.
No.
So I find that very
Yeah.
interesting. But you did like home decor and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from an artist's perspective, like what's your view with that? Like
I don't know. I just like anything with color, a lot of color, and so that's where it gets me, I think, and the shininess.
Yes.
I like that kind of stuff. So
And it's funny too, cause my other daughter Star, and then Colton, my son, are all very artistic
mhm.
and they have different. So her and her older brother have a different dad, my first husband, and then Star and Colton have their dad.
okay.
And they're all very artistic in very different ways. Colton's he can write stories. Like I had no idea, and he brought a story home from when he was in high school, and I was reading it, and I'm like, even come up with this?
Yeah. Where's that in your
The
head?
creative writing, like, did you, how, what? And he can draw too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Mhm.
Star and Chelsea they
Draw a lot. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
interesting.
And I can't draw worth crap.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you could if you just practiced.
Yeah.
Because you're very visual, so.
I am.
They talk it. Yeah, there's like a gal I listen to a lot, Carolyn Mays.
Yes,
Remember I
I've been
told you about
listening
that?
to her.
And she talks about how like you wear your. There's like think of yourself as like a little in the middle of like a little sundial. But around you is like your little rings, and you're in the center of your rings.
Yes.
Okay. And she talks about how like you wear certain archetypes. Like we have all the same 4
Uh-huh.
in our initial ring. So it's like victim. Oh my gosh, I gotta remember these: victim, prostitute, child, and then there's one other one, and I don't know why I'm blanking on that one. But she says we all have those 4 in our life. Oh, saboteur, I think. I'll have to look at them, but you have 4. And then she goes on the next ring is the ones you come in with. So if you're like a writer, there's like an archetype you wear, and those are the next 4. And then the ring after that is the 4 you like want to bring in.
Okay.
That you're like going drawn to this, and I don't know why, and I don't do much of it.
Yeah.
You're starting to bring it in this lifetime, so that when you get either into other lifetimes, you're already having those archetypes kind of built in.
Yeah.
Where like some people come in and you're like, how do you know how to do that?
Right.
You never like what you're good at it.
You're
You're
a
4 years
natural.
old. Yeah. It's like they actually on their last or whatever lifetime they were working on it. It was one in the outer rings, and they might have mastered it enough with many lifetimes to bring it internal. Which is why we're like, how do you have that? And I don't, but we all have that in our, yeah.
That's
So they kind of worked in it and brought it in. I mean, there's always all different kinds of theories with that, but
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
it is very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, all right.
Awesome.
I love it.
I know. That's so fun. I just could go on, like you said, forever and ever
I know.
about all the
I
different
know.
things.
I know. I love it. I have to listen. Who's on your? I was like, I haven't finished listening to the last podcast yet. That your last
the child
guest.
guy.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I just started it in a few minutes. Started last night, but I was like, I
Awesome.
can't wait to finish this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
He was like on another level. I think I told you spiritually,
Yeah.
and you could just
Yeah.
feel. And his wife, she wasn't on camera. She was sitting on the
Yeah.
floor with us, but they were so great and so just nice,
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
it was a great time.
Amazing.
We were with them for like 4 hours.
Oh my god. Just soaking it all in.
Yeah,
Soaking
you're
it
just
all in.
sitting. When I was
I know.
talking to him,
I love it.
I was getting
Yeah.
sucked in,
Yeah, I got, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, into
and
the sort of,
yeah, and I told Taco that I said I just like
Yeah.
like he was almost,
Mesmerizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
And she's like, yeah, he does that.
Yeah. Interesting. I was going to say, so you have a lot of elephants.
I'm an elephant girl.
And
yes.
do you know how they communicate?
No, that's the other thing.
I almost wore my elephant earrings today.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I don't know, but I have these elephant earrings and I almost wore them. And then I pulled them out and then I was like, oh, I'll just wear these instead. Isn't that funny
Yes.
how you just change from your like? So elephants communicate by when they're in a group together. They will create. You know how we get that like intestinal sounds?
Yes.
You know, where you're like, oh, my stomach's growling.
Uh-huh.
That's how they communicate. One of them will start their stomach growling.
They
And
can
then-
make their stomach grow.
They can, and then all the others will start doing it in the herd, and then the sound is able to travel through the ground, through their wide surface area feet, travel through the ground. It can reach up to like, I don't even know, like 30 or 50 miles.
Oh my
And that's how they
gosh.
alert other herds, like if danger's coming or fires, and to
Okay.
leave. That's how they communicate.
That's
So it's
incredible.
interesting that your podcast is an analogy of that, and that is your like little spirit.
I'm just getting
animal.
the chills right now.
Yeah, because that's how you're you're using the internet to be your communication, to start a ripple effect,
Oh
to
my
communicate to all other
Okay,
people.
you're blowing me away.
No, so that's why I was like, it's kind of interesting that you've got like,
Oh, I have
know,
them all
1, 2,
over.
3. We have like 7 elephants in here. So I was just
I
like,
have,
interesting. I have to tell her about this.
yeah, I have elephants everywhere. I have some in the other bedroom.
Yeah,
I have
that's
a picture. I have elephants in the living room, in the family room,
Yeah.
and people buy them for me. So I have
Yeah.
friends that have gone like to Mexico, or I've got one from Dubai. I've got
Okay.
one, different, and they'll bring them to me because they know I love them. And then they bring them to me. Oh, I got this for you in, wherever country they were in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the book, I think I learned about it, was this guy who was called the Elephant Whisperer, and he had an elephant
Oh my
sanctuary
gosh.
and somewhere in Africa, I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
But he knew nothing about elephants really, and then was like, oh, I somehow need to like be a part of this, and he talks a lot about how they communicate with each other and I didn't know that until I read the book, and so if you want, put it on your reading list. It was a great book, The
I
Elephant
will
Whisperer.
absolutely
Yeah.
have to check
Yeah.
that out.
So
'Cause
now it's
I've always loved them.
Yeah.
And I do know that like they're supposed to bring good luck and prosperous and
Yes.
they protector of projects
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff. So oh my gosh, it's just even making more sense.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny?
Yes.
Yes.
That's so wild.
Chelsea missed a whole tidbit. But
I know. I have to go to the bathroom.
You have to watch that. It's about the elephants and how they communicate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I was getting like
And it was just
wild chills.
Gotta bring those in every once in a while,
Yeah,
you know, that
yeah.
chills, that spirit,
Yeah. hmm
The validation.
I know. Amazing.
Awesome.